For quorum. You're the important person. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone. I've asked Auntie Noi Noi to start us off with some welcoming protocol for Manao.
Morning, everybody. Aloha kakahiaka. So I was thinking about this morning. Instead of beginning with the chant, I had some thoughts that I wrote down and I want to share with you. So as we're in the third year of our formation of Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority, I reflect on the immense challenges that we've collectively shared to establish not only a new state agency, but one grounded in respect for the Aina, for the culture, the community, and the wisdom of our kupuna. We're demonstrating, I believe, a better way to balance conflicting ideologies, competing interests, and political pressures by grounding ourselves in a framework and philosophy which honors the Mauna itself as a partner, a family member, a kupuna of highest esteem. This effort comes with many challenges, which we experience daily in our interactions with decision makers, influencers, and project proponents who are not yet aligned with our intent. Sometimes the challenge to meet everyone's expectations and timelines seems formidable. At times like this, I'm reminded of a well-known quote by Princess Bernice Pauahi Bishop, founder and benefactor of Kamehameha Schools. That's because this week is song contest for us graduates. It's an important time. There'll come a time when you feel you're pushed into the background. Never allow this to happen. Stand always on your foundation. But you will have to make that foundation. There will come a time when to make this stand will be difficult, especially to you of Hawaiian birth. But conquer you can, if you will. I ask all of us to consider her words in relation to our work for this authority and for Mauna Kea. We knew this work would be challenging and that many would doubt our ability to achieve success. But conquer we can, and we will, by working together and recommitting ourselves each day to our greater purpose for the good of the Mauna and for future generations. Mahalo nui.
Thank you. Very well said. We appreciate your words of wisdom. That's why I call you Auntie.
Chairman, might I add, Auntie just had a birthday this week, so we want to wish her a haole lahana.
So now I'm kupuna.
I hate to break it to you, but you were kupuna before. So thank you, and happy birthday. Before we proceed, I wanted to introduce two people to everyone. First is Daniel Holt. Daniel is the special assistant to the chair of the DLNR. He has been appointed by Ryan to serve as his representative on our authority. So if you don't know, Daniel is a former representative at State House of Representative, served for 10 years, I believe, right, Daniel? And has now become the special assistant. Second person I wanted you to introduce you to is Keala. Keala's on, she'll be starting soon as our new administrative, I forget the exact title, but officer. So Keala, welcome on board also. With that, we received, I don't know if you've had the opportunity, we received testimony about various matters in legislation and some of the management plan and master plan that we're developing. So Poina, are they online, either of them?
Nope.
The testimony was received from Dee Green and Cheryl Berghardt. But I would ask all of you to review that testimony. I'm bringing it up now because it actually covers several different items on our agenda. If they either of them want to log in, I appreciate letting me know. and we can allow them to present some kind of oral testimony also. So with that, I'm going to move to the approval of the minutes for February 12th, 2026. Any changes, amendments to the minutes? If not, if I could get a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes.
Could I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Just to let to follow process, everyone who's zooming in, can you confirm that you're the only person in the room and there's no other person with you? Okay, thank you. With that, I've moved to the chair's report and primarily on legislation. So that we have 3 bills that we wanted to report on. House Bill 2592, which is our bill that we've talked about several times, that has 4 different provisions. That bill has passed out of the House on March 10th, 2026, and is now being will be considered by the Senate. House Bill 2593. This is a bill that was amended. It originally called for a 10-year automatic extension of the lease. The House Water and Land Committee amended the bill to give us, the Mauna Kea Authority, the ability to extend leases if we thought necessary as we move forward. That bill passed 3rd reading on March 6th and is now being considered in the Senate. The last bill is Senate Bill 2003, which does 2 things. One, it sets it requires us to make all of the transfers as required. Well, it goes beyond that. It requires us to meet all of the obligations that are contained in Act 255 by 2031. Otherwise, the authority is basically disbanded, and the management of the Mauna returns to the University of Hawaii. So that's the first part of the bill. The second part of the bill automatically extends all of the existing leases, both the master lease and the subleases, to the observatories for 10 years. That bill has passed 3rd reading on March 10th, and it will be now forwarded to the House of Representatives for further hearing. The last thing that's happening in the legislature is that on Monday, 4 of us were renominated by the governor for additional 3-year term. The 4 are Paul Horner, Rich Matsuda, Noinoi Wong Wilson, and myself. That communication was forwarded on Tuesday to the state Senate. The process is that the Waterland Committee of the state Senate will take up our confirmation. It's unclear as to when that process will take place, but I'll keep everybody informed about that also. Okay, any questions about the legislation? Discussion?
Chair, what's the governor's message number for our nomination?
I don't have. I'm sorry. I looked at it, but I didn't write it down. I
Maybe you
can let you
can
know.
send it to us later. Thank you.
Yeah. There's 4 separate messages. But I'll get it. It's in the order of the day for Tuesday at the Senate. Okay. With that, sorry. Going to move to the report by the administration executive director DeFries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Noi, for getting us off to the right start today, and welcome to Citizen Daniel Holt. Great to have you on board. I just want to expand on the initial announcement that Chair Komeiji made by welcoming our incoming Administrative Services Officer, Keala Patterson, who technically starts on Monday. And we're looking forward to greeting her at that time. And then the fire hose will be right behind us. It's ramped up. Several of you authority members have met Keala on her own volition. She took the initiative of attending our community meeting in Maili. She also joined us in Lihue, Kauai, and I believe she was with us in Kaneohe as a means of getting an early start in beginning to understand some of the processes that are at work and the feedback that the community is offering. Keala comes to us directly from the Queen's Health Systems, where she ran the annual supports program in philanthropy. In her career, she has served in various capacities that align very well for us, including serving as a legislative aide in the 2019 session for Representative Cedric Gates. In the opening term of Governor Josh Green, she served as the governor's protocol officer. And prior to joining Queens, she was retained by the RCUH, Research Corporation, University of Hawaii, in a study with the Department of Health. So we welcome Keala, and I'm not sure we can isolate on Keala if she has some opening remarks she would like to make at this time.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Thank you for that warm introduction. Looking forward to joining this team officially on Monday and hitting the ground running. So I'll keep it short, but thank you all.
Thank you, Keala, and we'll see you Monday in Honolulu. Thank you. The second position is a program specialist, and that discovery and that candidate, we didn't have to go very far to find out. That person was Po'ena An, who all of you are familiar with. Actually is staff member number 1 at the authority in his current role as executive assistant. He will continue to serve in that capacity until we can fill that vacancy, which we anticipate doing in the third quarter of this year. I will tell you that in the search for a research and reporting specialist, the things that stood out for us is Poena's curiosity, his desire to seek knowledge, and kind of this tenacity to keep looking for things. I don't have to tell you that he and I have made our share of administrative mistakes in trying to get this organization open, but and on occasions have signed the same form 2 times. But at the end of the day, he gets it done, and I really appreciate that aspect of him and his desire to grow with this authority. So Poena, the microphone is yours.
Mahalo.
That's it?
Yes. I stay off camera for a reason. I stay off the mic too. You don't want me to get going. Mahalo, everybody.
No wonder you're a lawyer in the making, I can tell. But anyway, welcome to both Keala into her new position, and congratulations to Poena in the weeks to come. I also wanted to comment on 3 fellowships that have been approved by the Office of the Governor. These fellowships are a byproduct of business transformation programs, of which there are multiple set of them that come from the governor's office. And we were fortunate to qualify for 3 of them. 2 of them are special projects positions. And the transition requires in-demand technical resources not found in our civil service. Those with deep expertise in merger integration type work, especially for migrating critical functions such as finance, operations, HR, IT across organizations. Furthermore, this unique resource need is only temporary, meaning the work should end with the transition. For those reasons, we utilize HRS 76-11.6, special research or demonstration project positions, which enables us approval of the governor to establish positions engaged in a special project that is approved by the governor. Subject to the limitations of available appropriations, we have established 3 positions to assist management with the transition, and we expect open recruitment in the second quarter of this year with targeted start dates in the third quarter. 2 of those roles are project management types that will focus on HR, finance, IT, and depending on the timing, there's a possibility of also managing the creation of our administrative rules. That those specific designations are pending at this time, and again, depending on the sequencing and timing. The third position is a communications fellow. This one creates schedules and analyzes content across platforms like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn to elevate awareness of the authority and to foster engagement and continued growth. They will manage online communities, track metrics, and create strategies to improve performance. Key skills for this fellow will include, but not limited to, writing, graphic design, and platform-specific expertise. I'll stop there and pause to see if there are any questions. Okay, hearing none. Let me.
John, not a question, but again, mahalo to the governor for permitting us the leeway to appoint these positions.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And frankly, we were extremely fortunate that this program was known because of his work with the governor's office by Christopher Daggett. So Chris, thank you for getting us across the line there. With respect to the leases, let me make specifically the future of observatory leases. I want to go back and put this in some context. Back in January, the Performance and Oversight PIG requested of the Joint Management Committee to provide the committee with recommendations on conducting a programmatic EIS for all uses. That particular mandate by the PIG also caused us to prioritize compliance with the letter and spirit of state laws, which includes HRS 195H, HRS 343 EIS, and any other applicable statutes. Integrity of MKSOA's management and planning process, upholding the independence of the authority to make future decisions on allowed uses, including limitations on astronomy development, and also the importance of proceeding with urgency. That was a directive sent by the Performance and Oversight PIG to myself and the staff on behalf of the JMC. And I also want to thank the tremendous efforts of Director Greg Chun in that effort. Status and discussion regarding the comprehensive EIS. The JMC conducted an initial analysis to explore whether and how the authority should proceed with a comprehensive EIS. Then last week, our staff met with the Environmental Review Program, formerly known as the Office of Environmental Quality Control, and we expect to provide a summary analysis and recommendations to the authority for the next meeting in April. Also, status and discussion regarding identifying a process to determine future lease rent, our staff has initiated meetings with observatories to map the lease and decommissioning processes and to identify ways in which we may work directly with them to address the lease issue. Given the urgency and duration required to renew leases and the current moratorium on leases per Act 255, we are working to identify ways forward without compromising the integrity of the forthcoming management plan, which is now in development. I also want to digress a second and thank Member Ben Kudo, who spent time with us, providing his expertise on land use and environmental impact statements. We also spent time with Tom Eisen over at the Environmental Review Program, and also distinguished planner Jim Hayes, who has provided counsel, who has done previous work on the Mauna, very knowledgeable, and provided initial guidance to the JMC. So that concludes my report on that segment, Mr. Chair, and I'll pause for any questions. Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask, I know, I apologize, Member Kudo, I know you have a early departure to deal with, but I'd like to call on you now to deal with the long-term transition working group update.
Thank you, John. The good news is the first draft of the working group, the first draft of the master transfer plan has been produced and was circulated to the members of the long-term transition working group, as well as legal counsel of the affected stakeholder parties. We have had meetings with both groups. We have taken down initial concerns from the members on the master transfer plan, which is a quite lengthy document. And we will be meeting again with our own legal team this afternoon to go over some of those comments and all of the legal issues that were raised to us during the two meetings. Our schedule now is to put out a second draft for the working group to review, and we hope to get a draft for the members of the board of regents, MKSOA and DLNR, a master transfer plan draft for their review at the end of this month. Our plan again is to get approval by the boards, and I might be optimistic about this, by May of this year. So things are proceeding along. We've got a few bumps, but I think we'll manage through them, and we'll hopefully make it through to May for approval of the master transfer plan by all of the major stakeholders. And that's my report.
Thank you, Member Kudo. Any questions on the long-term transition working plan?
Question, Ben. In terms of approval, what kind of review do you expect of the authority? I mean, how voluminous is this? It's a very technical document. What should we be looking for on our side in terms of exercising our duty to approve it?
That's really kind of, I think, up to each board member as to the level of detail that you want to look at this document. Like you say, it is a technical document. All of the information that we felt relevant is included in there, as well as summaries of the summaries and the analysis. We will probably make a presentation, our team, our legal team, which is myself, Linda Chow from the Attorney General's office, Joel Kam, and then also Natsumi Nishimoto, our two outside counsel. We will probably make a presentation to you all when it's presented to this board. I don't know if the Board of Regents wants us to do the same for them. We're open to do that with them, but they have their own legal counsel. And we can go through the document at a 30,000-foot level and then dive down deep to the 5,000 level should anybody want to know more about it. I think Paul knows more about how extensive this document is and how detailed it is. And he's gone through it, so maybe you can share what your recommendation would be to Neil's question.
Well, all I can say is, the leases were the key to this whole thing. All the leases, all the asset transfer and all that kind of stuff. What to keep, what to throw out is easy. That's the nuts and bolts of it. But it's pretty. I think then I'm confused sometimes on a little bit on the leases, and especially with the telescopes and how we're going to manage that in the long term. But I know you guys are working on it, so. But Neil, it's it's very tricky for me from my perspective. Anyway, it's all about the leases.
Got it. Well, we look forward to the presentation. I think it'd be very helpful to us.
Okay.
Any other questions of Member Kuro? Ben, I just have one thing to add. We had a joint management committee meeting yesterday, and anticipating what at the JMC level will be directed and the intense amount of work that will follow. But there are also issues and concerns that were University of Hawaii specific, which really don't belong at the JMC. And I encouraged those university representatives to get those comments and concerns directly to you, because in addition to the function that you're playing here with the transition working group, that you also are here as a designate of the Board of Regents as well. So you may anticipate getting some contact in that way.
Okay. Yeah, and the challenging part of this whole thing is Act 255, as most of you know, has some areas that are not exactly clear about what happens and when it happens, how it impacts the different stakeholders, etc. So we've had to use our best judgment and also keeping an eye on the objective, but also being aligned with the principles and purposes of this transition period to get it accomplished. So there's bound to be, I think, areas of disagreement. We're hoping that we can work those out with the stakeholders, if there are any, and move forward on a document that at least there's a general consensus on. And not every T will be crossed or I dotted with all the different parties, I'm sure. But I think it'll move everything along and get there. If there are any disagreements between the stakeholders, we will probably punt it to the joint management agreement to decide, which it was set up to do. So, and if these may not be the legal issues so much as the operations issues and those kinds of things, I suspect, hopefully our legal team will be able to deal with all the legal disagreements that we may have with the University of Hawaii and DLNR. So that's my thinking right now.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, comments before we move on? Okay, I should have said this up front, and I know, Ben, you're having to leave at 11 o'clock. I wanted to point out that item number nine is actually being deferred until the April meeting, which means that there will be no action taken, there will be no vote taken in the event Ben has to leave or anybody else by the time we get to that. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call on Member Matsuda, Rich Matsuda, for an update on the visit to Washington, D.C.
Okay, yep. Good morning, members. Good morning to the public who's tuned in. I'm going to a quick overview of our
It says it at time, so.
Okay,
Here, somebody's mic.
Yes.
okay.
Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna give a quick update, and Noi, feel free to jump in. So this was a visit to our Hawaii delegation in Washington, D.C., made by First Vice Chair Noi Wong Wilson and myself, Second Vice Chair. So first of all, just want to thank Senator Schatz's office for arranging a meeting with staff from the various Hawaii congressional delegation offices so that we could talk all together at once. So what we provided was a general overview on the MKSOA status and progress, and shared the same kinds of information that we share in these monthly update meetings, public meetings, such as legislative intent of the formation of the authority and the progress on development of the management plan and the transition that we're all trying to accomplish by mid-2028. Wanted to say that one topic of interest that came up was governor's letter that was dated October 24th to the TMT International Board members that CC'd Chair Kumeiji and President Hensel, that stated that the government would work with the authority UH to determine a permitting process for TMT to use a decommissioned site, which the board heard in the November MKSOA meeting and had a lot of public testimony about. So we informed them, as we have shared in this meeting, that the MKSOA has worked with people at the university and DLNR at the state to understand the current process that exists. And then also through those discussions, and thank you for staff members who have kind of led the way on that for MKSOA, identified some unanswered questions that arise out of the complexities of the transition we're in. So we just let them know kind of where things stand on that, and also encouraged open lines of communication with their offices should they wish to engage further in the future. So please, contact us, talk with us. We also offered to meet with individual offices for follow-up. This first group meeting was on the 2nd, and on the 3rd, the next day, we met with Representative Tokuda and Senator Hirono's staff for additional Q&A, and then unable to schedule a meeting while we were there with Representative Case's office, but we now have a follow-up Zoom meeting with his office on March 30th. So that's kind of the overview. Antino, if you have anything to add there.
No, Rich, that was good. I just wanted to mention that we did make a brief stop in San Francisco. That was on our itinerary, and I got to meet a number of KIC board members. And so that was, and pretty much brought them up to speed with the same information that Rich is discussing that we shared with our congressional delegation. So I feel it was a very successful meeting, and not only making personal connections with staff members and some of our representatives, but to really bring them up to speed because they're just so inundated right now with the national political scene. They're not really keeping up well with some of the things going on at home. So it was good for them to get the update from us directly.
Happy to take questions. Go for it, Neil.
Neil.
Yeah, number one, Rich and Noino, I thank you for taking time from your schedules and so forth and making that long trip and representing us. And we have every confidence that you did so exceptionally well. I got a sense from your report, Rich, of what we might have told them. What did they tell us? Were there any key messages back to us that we should be attending to?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the same kinds of concerns we're hearing from other places, like what is the lease process, which we talked about earlier in this meeting. From the folks we visited in San Francisco, just, you know, the desire to know the path forward on that so that decisions can be made and plans can be made. I know you have other things.
No, there wasn't. To me, it wasn't the hot item on the table. Obviously, we're overshadowed by, you know, the other pressures. And while we were there in Senator Hirono's office, she actually was there and spent a minute, really a minute with us, and was called away to a briefing on Iran. So I would say the temperature in Washington, D.C. obviously is really focused on those issues, and a little less focus on our specific issue here. And I think what we told them, just assured them not to worry. You know, we're moving, we're going as quickly as we can, and the issues of leases are going to be addressed and will be addressed in the proper order. So there wasn't a big push about that. There wasn't a big emphasis on the letter. You know, yeah, it wasn't like they were waiting for us to appear after the letter was sent to us.
That's understandable. Did they identify a key communicator for each of their each member's office where we could have like an ongoing, make sure they see our minutes and agendas and so forth? Is there somebody that they've delegated that responsibility to?
The person I was just gonna say the person in Senator Schatz's office that kind of set up the meeting is a person by the name of James Chang.
Yeah.
Who kind of looks after science issues. So.
Right. We don't have any specific individual in the other offices. In fact, our meeting was with Representative or Congresswoman Tokuda directly. So, you know, she had a staff member with her, but just to take notes. Yeah.
My sense is they rely heavily upon some key staff member to keep them briefed and on issues, and so we might just reach out and make sure that they're fully aware of what we're doing, that whoever that individual is.
Yes. Thank you.
I think James is a good starting point for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions of Rich Matsuro or Noi about this trip?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Hearing none, I've just been informed that there is a member of the community that would like to present testimony. And so we'll pause at this time for that purpose.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Ward. I apologize for not checking in at the beginning. I went to the wrong location for your meeting. As a result, I was late and didn't sign in. I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing, primarily because I realize how difficult your task is. While I'm generally in support of astronomy, you probably know that I've been involved in opposing some of the work that's been proposed over the last 30 years. I recognize that you are struggling with the lease issues. And yet the law is very clear, and it seems to me that the monkey wrench that the legislature threw at astronomy is the Mauna Kea Stewardship Authority, because it makes it so difficult to proceed with any lease extensions. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the law is fairly clear that the lease restrictions say that no lease should be longer than 65 years. And that no lease shall be made for land under that has more than 2 years to run, which makes it a little crazy for planning and ahead. The aggregate of the initial term and any extension granted shall not be more than 65 years. And if in the event of reopening, the rental for any ensuing period should be the fair market rent. I don't see that either an EIS or fair market value is being discussed at this time. At least I haven't heard that. And that the length of the extension should not exceed reasonable length of time for the purpose of, and in no case should exceed 5 years. So it seems like the intent of 23, let's see, is it called? Yeah, 2593 is to bypass all of that. And I can see that you're struggling with it, but it just seems to me that the law also states in HR 343 that any lease or use of the land within the conservation district triggers an environmental review. And I'm not hearing that you're developing an environmental impact statement. So any use of the land within the conservation district triggers the need for an EIS, and I'd like to know what you're thinking about developing an EIS, because I'm not hearing that. And I'm not seeing a CDUA going to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So it just seems to me that you're trying to find workarounds, which I understand why you would want to, but the law is very clear, and I hope that you're not going to encounter litigation as a result of not following the law. And I'll stop at that point. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Chair or anyone else you care to comment?
Yeah, Deborah, this is John Komeiji. You came in a little late, but we actually gave a report about how we are exploring an EIS for all of the leases. So I would urge you to when you have the opportunity to review this video of this meeting, because we actually are in active we're actively trying to figure out how we do an EIS, either as a project or as individual leases as we go towards renewal of the leases. We also talked about briefly about trying to develop a process as to what that fair market value for the leases would be. What would be our process to get to that number? So my suggestion is that when this meeting video gets posted, that you review John DeFries's report to the authority about what staff is doing in terms of, specifically not to address your concern, but to address the concern of EIS, which is your concern. So that would be my only suggestion.
Anyone else?
Maybe, John, you can have a conversation with Debbie later. Yeah, appreciate that. And mahalo, Debbie, for bringing that up.
Yes, and Debbie, I would also encourage you to look at the testimony when House Bill 2593 was first heard. It generated testimony from the Attorney General's office and our own Deputy Attorney General Linda Chow, and that testimony raises concerns about an automatic 10-year lease extension. And some of the concerns you have about the EIS are also coupled in that as well. I look forward to talking to you more about it going forward. Thank you. Joanna, anyone else there to testify?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 7. 7A. On behalf of Kuo Vakea in reporting in their update here, we've just completed, as you know, 10 community workshops across the state with 5 communities on this island and 5 dispersed on Oahu, Hawaiʻi, Molokai, and Maui. I want to take the time now to thank each of the board members who made it a priority really to be there. And I have to say that having board members live in front of the community, open to questions that are basically not edited and live makes a big impression. And so thank you to all. Through both the in-person participation and online engagement, the workshops reached 1,559 attendees and viewers statewide. It reflects the strong interest and engagement from communities across the state. In addition to workshop participation, Kuo Vakea received 190 completed surveys, providing some detailed input and perspectives from community members. These surveys help deepen the insights gathered during the workshops and ensure a broader range of voices are represented. Continued engagement through Kuo Vakea's website, where community members can, 1, access project updates and engagement materials, 2, review past workshops, and 3, continue to share input and stay connected with the process. With the workshops now completed, Kuo Vakea will focus on analyzing the insights garnered from community workshops and surveys and integrating those perspectives into the upcoming reports in the next phase of planning and reporting. I'm going to stop right there too and emphasize that one of the key elements that is left for us to make priority is the training of our authority members and staff in the Honua Iakea training. And so immediately we are polling and will poll today, Saturday, March 28th in Hilo from 9:30 to 12:30. We will put a formal invitation out to everybody and would ask all of you to please respond within the next 48 hours so that we can secure this date, because it's also difficult to get this aligned with the trainers' availability as well. So we are targeting Saturday, March 28th in Hilo for this training. And that information will go back out to you via email right after this, later today in this meeting. Item 7B and 7C, what I'm going to do is we had a performance and oversight PIG meeting with Kuo Vakea for an update in these areas scheduled last week that had to be canceled and rescheduled. So that update and meeting is taking place tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. And we'll be in a better position to report out after the PIG has benefited from this review. And so I'm going to stop there. And I should also acknowledge that internally, I want to thank Bill Stormont and also Bill Moore, who along with myself are reviewing the individual modules that are being reported out in phase 2 right now. And so it's quite a bit of documentation that we're required to go through, and but we'll get there. And thank the people at Kua Wakea for really the timeliness of getting this work done as well. So I'm going to stop there, Mr. Chair, and respond to any questions that anyone might have.
John, I know how important that cultural training is, and I know how difficult it is to kind of herd us all, along with our consultants, to be there. I'm going to be in Alaska at an Indigenous Law of the Sea conference on March 28th, but that's our open day. Would we be given the option of, the conference I have to be is the 2 days prior. Would we be given a virtual option to participate?
Let me go back. It was not an option, but this is now becoming too kind of important. And the other thing is that there are trainings like this that are also taking place as part of the total planning process. And so there may be another opportunity for live engagement on your part. But let me go back with Hui Hui and see if we cannot make the best out of this, because this is bound to happen.
Sure.
Across the board. So I'll get back to you on that.
I really want to do it. I have done Pakumakawalu training in the past. It's awesome. And I was looking forward to doing it again, especially in the context of side by side with other key stakeholders. So, but it's, as you say, it's too important. We got to get this in, and I don't want to hold up the works.
Well, and frankly, the conference you're going to is also extremely important. If you told me you were going to see Bad Bunny in concert, I might have a different opinion, but no, that's pretty big too. So I'll get back to you specifically on access. I'll get back to all of you about whether virtual is an access. I know that initially it was not, but we may have to take this in increments to get there. So thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, John. How's it? Hey, how's it, everybody?
Yeah.
I just, So I've done cultural training, right? That was my prior life, right? At Department of Health, Department of Education. And so I train on how to engage and interact across cultures, multi-cultures, and such. So I guess the first question is who gets to decide what's the training topic? That's one. I was thinking maybe the authority get to decide, but it's already been decided. So that's an issue I have. Because training is part of, to me, it's part of indoctrination, right? I mean, the indoctrination process is training, it's like church. So I'm kind of concerned that, if like what the training will be on, who gets to decide that? How come the authority don't get to weigh in on it? Like all those decisions, because what's going to happen is you're going to start shaping the narrative already. And then, we're trying to, the whole purpose of the authority is to get the most diverse perspectives as possible.
Yeah.
Not one way or the other way, or, not the Native Hawaiian only way, but, we live in a multicultural society. So, again, get decisions being made that is, to me, is not run past the authority. It's like, you get on training, or you get on topic, you're asking us to be there. It's just, I don't feel good about it, but it is what it is. Just saying, being honest. Thank you.
No, Mayor, I would argue that, not argue, but I would emphasize that the authority was in fact completely involved in this by virtue of creating a RFP for a management planning process. And then in alignment with Act 255, which calls for an indigenous management principles to be integrated in the planning and our work. That was reflected in the RFP. All the schools of thought that you're referring to in terms of training methodology and philosophy, all of those schools had an opportunity to compete for this RFP. And for whatever reason, and there may be good reasons, they did not. They chose not to compete, right? So the authority did its thing by designing the RFP to be comprehensive, a reflection of our strategic framework, as well as integrate the mandates we have in Act 255, and then we sit back and see who's prepared to engage and compete, right? And so this training is a byproduct of that RFP award, and the phases of this planning function. So that's what's brought us to this point. And who could have predicted this when we wrote the RFP, right? That we would arrive at a point where Edith Kanakaole Foundation is the designated trainer. So I do want to say that these decisions are not made lightly or arbitrarily. They are part of a larger process that this authority and staff has been directly involved in, and frankly designed it.
Mayor,
In accordance with Act 255. Yeah.
Mayor, this is John. I share your philosophy that any management plan, any master plan has to be balanced.
No.
And I've said that repeatedly to members of this authority. I've said it repeatedly to our consultants that John just described, RFP. Because if it's not a balanced plan, it's not going to be accepted by the community. It has to include and be take into account the various stakeholders and the various perspectives. You cannot develop a plan that only has one perspective, because the overall community will not accept that plan. So I've made it very clear that from my perspective and my desire that has to happen. Now, once we hire the consultant, we have to, in a way, defer. If we have to defer in a way in terms of what they believe is important to their management, to developing their management plan, right? So there was no active decision on our part, on the authority, that we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. We are deferring to them in terms of their belief of what is necessary to develop the plan. However, having said that, I would come back to my first point, right? Which is that we got to have a balanced plan. The balanced plan must incorporate the opinions and feelings of the various stakeholders, and cannot be one way. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's
it's just different thoughts, right? So like I've trained under Auntie Abby Napiahi and Akahar on Ho'oponopono, for example. And then I go Oahu, I train under Likeke Palaginawan as well, and his wife, and so like you get different trains of thought, right? So
yeah.
And I think it all plays into, so like who gets to decide what train of thought we're going to go with. So if we say this island is the Kanakaole train of thought, then hey, that's big, okay? Then we can all agree on that, and that's fine. But if that's how we're going to go, then that's and what is the
what I'm saying, for me, from my perspective, this is one perspective of a train of thought. At the end of the day, everybody here as authority members are going to have to figure out how they balance the different competing thoughts, perspectives, whatever, right? So this is just I don't think this is going to automatically frame that you have to think this way. That's what I believe, right? You have the training, right? But at the end of the day, if we cannot come up with a balanced management plan and master plan, all of our work in that area, to me, is not going to be worth the paper that it's written on.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
I gotta head out.
I'm glad that you bring up those issues.
So, Chair.
Noi.
Whatever I'm thinking on the table, so you guys no gotta guess, right? It's like, so when you look at me as the chair, I don't let you guess. I don't think you think I get hidden agendas, or because that's the worst thing can happen is that I say something and I really mean them, or I start talking behind you guys back or whatever. So whatever come out of my mouth is exactly how I'm feeling, and so you don't gotta guess, right? And so I hope that's the same with you guys too. Yeah. It's like, just share your mana out, make them direct. You might hurt some feelings, but hey, at least what you see is what you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
So
put them on the table. I appreciate that.
to be that way. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta go to a civil defense meeting. We might have some showers. Just saying. Take the
Oh, you're gonna
necessary-
miss my speech, Mayor, but you
Hey,
know,
Mayor,
that's
listen to
okay.
Noy. The auntie like the kupuna like talk to you.
Okay,
I
great.
just want to make it clear that while we try to achieve balance, to me, it's not balance, it's fairness. Okay, that's different than balance. Because balance means we each have 6, but that doesn't mean having 6 each is fair. And I think that's one thing we have to look at philosophically. But the other thing is that Act 255 is specific about a foundation that is based on our indigenous culture and also references things such as social justice, that our aspirational statement has to include a recognition of those issues, which are large and broad issues that affect the entire population. Because if our Hawaiian population here is not thriving, then our community is not thriving. So while I understand there are concerns here and there, and maybe that's what Mayor is expressing, that things that start to sound too Hawaiian when you give Hawaiian names. I think that's the learning process we're all going through. And so, Mayor, I would just really encourage you to be present at this cultural training. It's not just cultural training like you do cultural training, I do cultural training. It's a specific understanding of what and how the management plan is being framed. And I think that's what we all need to get to. So, okay, now you can go. Thank you.
Hey, Mayor Alameda, good luck this evening, the next couple of days. This is going to be
Yes.
right. So good luck to
Take
you and
care.
the staff.
Thank you for
Aloha.
sharing. Thank you, folks. I'll stay in touch.
Okay. You know, Chair Committee, I appreciate your comments to the mayor, and which is a reminder to all of us, all the authority members, about the value of this authority is being able to speak your mind and do it in a way that is constructive. And I do know that at the heart of Mayor Alameda's mana'o is a deep concern and love for this island. So thank him as well. So we're now going to move
John,
on.
if I could add one thought. I mean, having participated in this training before, or one of the trainings of EKF before, Papakuma Kavala, I'm not sure how this will be different, but worked with him in the past and worked with him on the management team. They're not proselytizing. They're not trying to in a sense, they're trying to demystify our culture. A lot of people see that, oh, I'm not Hawaiian, or I don't know Hawaiian language and so forth. That's like hard bars to understanding things. And the way they lay this out is they really prompt us to think and to see and think for ourselves and hold on to our own interpretations and so forth within kind of a cultural context. So, and when they bring people side by side, whether you're Hawaiian or you're, of other ethnicity or from practitioner or business community or astronomy, I mean, creating that group where you're working at this side by side and everybody's opinion has value, that is really helpful to the process. So I appreciate the concerns, and sometimes you hear, I don't know about this and I'm worried about this, that it's going to be something you don't understand. And they're really good in their delivery of kind of breaking down some of those barriers. The other point, to build on your point about the RFP, is that we had 2 respondents to the RFP. One was EKF was already tied in with one of the respondents. The other one wanted to hire EKF if they were to receive the bid. So both paths led there, and so we would have been in the same place no matter which consultant we selected. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other comments?
I have a quick comment too, just to share this. When you hear the word honua iakea, that's the word for planetary thought. Honua iakea, the great, wide, and expansive thought, and the world considering. So I just want to put that out there too, because again, what we come up against, I would say too, whenever cultural values is something, as soon as it's not in English or something, then suddenly it's too Hawaiian. And so just in that concept right there, in its very name, it's about being very inclusive. Honua ia kea is what that is. So just wanted to put that thought there for anyone who doesn't. Vehevehe.com, will help you a lot with some of that. So it is about broad and expansive thought. So the vision there is collective and inclusive. So mahalo.
I would just add, aloha no, I would just add as well, being a supporter and part of Papakuma Kavalu for a number of years now, is that Tulana Kila's point, Honua ia kea, is also a term for a canoe specifically that move people from in a specific migration. And so what that does, right, is it helps us to be able to recognize and to see that that's what we're doing. We're aligning ourselves onto one vessel, and we're working hard to do that, and that this is one aspect, one way, one learning in which we have the capacity to learn together. The first session ever that I walked into, Papakuma Kavalu, which was 20 years ago in Keauhou, the diversity in the room was great. And it was amazing to see that many, many, many sectors of the community could come together and could learn together. The first thing that was told to us was put your computers away. The person that you're sitting next to is the one that we want you to engage with. And I will just say here that in everything that I've learned through Papakuma Kavalu, one of the greatest things was to be able to see the world and its expanse from multiple lenses, and not just the Ike Hawaiʻi, but also through the sciences. I mean, through social justice, social ecology, and all of those things. And so I look forward to us engaging in that way to understand the totality of the Mauna of who we serve. This helps us to deepen that Ike, not just what we currently see or currently might know, but how we can deepen so that we can understand more fully what the task is. Mahalo nui.
Thank you, Pomai. Lanakila, thank you. And to Noi Noi and Neil. Not only did all four of you articulate something incredibly important, but I'm reminded of the generational shift that is also here too, and the power of that. It revealed itself in the community meetings as well. And so that kind of clarity is really helpful. And so thank you. Mr. Chair, that concludes Section 8. We're going to move to Section 7, Item 7. We're going to move on to Item 8. I'm going to ask Dr. Greg Chun to come forward in this segment.
Thank you, John. Aloha, board members. Good to see you again. We have one project that we wanted to review for your input today. This has to do with an upgrade to the Smithsonian submillimeter array weather monitoring system. Joining me is Acting SMA Director Ranjani Siravasan. She's here to answer any questions, especially technical questions that the authority may have. So the request is to replace an existing weather monitoring instrument with an upgraded unit on their facility. The purpose is to increase their and improve their ability to measure barometric pressure, which does introduce some distortions in their assessments. This is this replacement project or proposal. It is considered under Conservation District Rules HAR 13522 to be a minor repair and maintenance of an existing facility and structure that's already been permitted. So as such, this does not require any kind of permit from the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands. And as such, it is classified in our CMS scheme as a type A project, which, as we've discussed in the past, is being presented just for information. If successful, however, SMA does want to consider installing up to 4 more of these units. And if that is the direction they decide to move in, that will be a separate land use application and process that we would have to bring back. The board packet includes both our cover memo with the process that we've gone through, the review that we've done here at CMS, along with the specific project proposal information. I believe page 8 of your packet has a map or a photo of the facility as to where the existing weather monitor is and where it will be replaced. And I believe on page 11 of your packet, there's an actual the technical data sheet of what that instrument looks like. We did review the project with Kahukumana on January 8th as part of their 3-year plan review process. They had no objections to this process, to this project, and just requested that they be updated should SMA seek to install the additional weather units, which, as I said, would come back as a separate proposal. The Environment Committee reviewed this on February 12th. They requested clarification on whether the data collected from the new instrument will be publicly available via the existing Mauna Kea Weather Center, Mauna Kea Weather Center website, and we did confirm that with SMA staff. On March 3rd, the project was reviewed by the Mauna Kea Management Board. Several questions were brought up. One had to do with making sure that our standard project conditions account for the potential presence of and limit impacts to the endangered Hawaiian hoary bat, the Hopeapea, which we have revised our project conditions to account for. There was also a question as to whether the CMS radio policy would need to be revised, and SMA staff replied that their observations are conducted in the very high frequency range, which is outside of the current policy limits. So we do not see any need for the radio policy itself to be revised. There was a question about where, if future instruments were going to be placed, where they would be placed and whether that would require ground disturbance. SMA notified us that those units would require power and data connections, so they would be placed on existing pads or directly on the antennas themselves, so it would not require any ground disturbance. And then there was also a question about whether exactly what this improved barometric pressure measurement would help them with. And if you're familiar with optical astronomy, it would be similar to what laser adaptive optics does for them. It helps them correct distortions in the data. Our recommendation is that this project proceed. We will submit a letter for concurrence review to OCCL. Again, it's not a formal permit. It's a letter to let them know that this is how we have assessed the project and that it would come with our standard project conditions. And should the project be approved, it would just move forward. We give the okay to SMA to move forward. If it came back with anything else, then we'd have to reassess. As I said, Ranjani is here to answer any technical questions, and Joy is also here from our staff to help answer any process or permitting related questions. So I'll just open it up, see if there's any questions or additional input you would like us to incorporate into the project conditions.
I don't think there's questions. Great.
What's that? Go ahead.
I think your explanation and the accompanying material very thorough. So I don't think there are any questions or concerns. Right?
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you. Turn it back to you, John.
Thank you, Greg. Let's see, as pointed out earlier, item 9 is being deferred until the meeting next month in April. So we're going to move on to item 10. Last month's meeting, we had a presentation from Justin on the Center for Mauna Kea Stewardship. And on occasions when we can look at some of the conservation activity that is going on Mauna Kea, it is a benefit to all of us. Now, in Justin's case, he's working within the legal definition of the Mauna Kea lands. What you're about to hear is outside of our perimeter, but nonetheless, we wanted the members to have an understanding of what our fellow agencies at DLNR are doing. So I'm going to turn this over to Bill Stormont to make the introduction.
Thanks, John. Aloha, all. Good to see everybody. I'd like to introduce Brett Mossman. Brett's a biologist with the DLNR's Division of Forestry and Wildlife. He's currently the Forest Bird Recovery Coordinator statewide. And they came to us several months ago. He and two colleagues, Ian Cole and Alex Wong, from the Hawaiʻi branch of Forestry and Wildlife, wanting to socialize and share with this group and others a project that they're proposing for protecting Palila habitat up on Mauna Kea, on the southwestern slope of Mauna Kea. And that matured into the getting it agendized today. And so I've asked Brett to be here, and he's got a short deck of slides he's going to share with us to share this project. So Brett, welcome.
Yep, aloha everyone. Can you see thank you for that introduction, Bill. Can everyone see my screen okay? Okay, yes. And you can see the presentation. Hopefully I kind of messed with it, so I wasn't sure if I hit it or not.
Never quite done with any presentation, huh, Brett?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, so thank you, Bill, and thank you everyone for allowing me to present on this. You know, Palila are a really important bird species on Mauna Kea, and we're doing our very most to try to make sure that they are protected. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to share a quick little update about some of the management work that we are proposing over this year. So just for a little bit of background information, the wild population of Palila was estimated to be about 666 individuals in 2025. And they've been somewhat increasing over the last few years. You know, starting in 2023, there was a really pronounced effort to do more predator control on the Mauna. And that seems to have released the birds from a little bit of the competition and pressure that they have been under. And then there has been a captive breeding program for the species since 1996. However, we're down to just six individuals in captivity now, and their breeding and success has not been what we would like to see. So we're trying to pivot to a couple different strategies moving forward for this year. So we have two major proposed actions that we're looking to complete in 2026. So one is we're trying to build a cat-proof fence. So this is about a 400 to 500 acre area on Mauna Kea, right below the Skyline Road. And I'll show a map here in a minute. That is going to be completely cat-proof to try to protect these birds from that invasive predator. And then the other program that we're looking at doing is what's called rear and release. So what we're going to attempt to do is locate as many Palila nests as we can, collect a subset of their eggs, bring them into captivity, rear them during their most sensitive time, you know, when they're the most susceptible to getting eaten by predators, be it pueo, be it rats, be it feral cats, and then rear them up to a point where they're fledgling. So they'll still be young birds. And then we want to transfer them to Mauna Kea, put them in an aviary, and then release them so that they can interact with the wild flock and learn proper foraging methods, find mates, that sort of thing. So like I said, the site infrastructure is going to be concentrated primarily on the west slope of Mauna Kea within the core wild population of Palila. And this is a really important site because it has high mamane availability, as well as a lot of nayo, outplanted iliahi, and some other species that Palila like to interact with. And then, unlike with other captive propagation, what we're trying to do is build a really large aviary that actually encloses hopefully a couple dozen mamane and nayo trees inside, so the birds can interact with wild habitat while being inside the aviary. And here's kind of this is where the cat-proof fence is proposed to go. So here you can see this is Mauna Kea. This area is known as that large pu'u up to the left is called Pu'u Mana'o. So that's kind of the area where we're targeting. And then that yellow line going through the middle of the map, if you can see my mouse right here, that's what's called Skyline Road. So this fence will be a little bit below Skyline, and it's going to be encompassing this really high quality mamane forest inside here. And this is a high priority restoration area for the Mauna Kea Forest Restoration Project as well. So a lot of trees are going to be planted inside this fence as well, and possibly a hina and some other rare plants because they'll be completely protected from other invasive things such as rodents and sheep. And then again, the area is going to be about 400 to 500 acres. And the other exciting part about it is that approximately 30% of all Palila detections since 2020 were within that unit. So we're going to be enclosing a large number of the Palila that have been detected, as well as a large number of the nests that have been found since 2020 as well. So there's been 20 plus nests were detected inside that 400 acres. So hopefully, this will be a really nice area for them. And then also there was some climate modeling that was completed that showed that this particular area on Mauna Kea is the most resistant to drought. So there's a unique combination of cloud cover and microclimates that has allowed this area to really stay green even in the worst of the droughts in the early 2000s. So that's why this is an area that we're really trying to prioritize for protecting for Palila. And then the fence will look kind of something like this. So this is a 600-acre cat-proof fence that was constructed by the National Park Service up on Mauna Kea. On Mauna Loa. And so you can see it's a pretty large structure because you have to have this buffle that prevents the cats from climbing in. And then also we're going to have this white tape on the fence to prevent any seabird collisions. Because recently we have actually found nesting ua'u nearby. And in fact, we're hoping to use this area not only for Palila, but also for ua'u, and we'll try to do some social attraction to try to bring in nesting ua'u as well. And that could actually have further benefits because it can help provide fertilizer to the mamane in that area. And then the rear and release aviary. So just so you can kind of see, I apologize, I made it a little bit dark, but you can see kind of in the background, it'll be something like this. You can see it'll be about 20 feet tall, and it's going to be about 100 feet by 50 feet size-wise. So we're going to try to enclose a nice little kipuka of forest to get these young birds trained up. And then we're going to have about 10 to 12 birds every spring and summer is our target inside the aviary, and then we'll hold them there for a few weeks to a few months, depending on how they respond to the area, and then let them go to interact and integrate into the wild flock. And so just for some of our expected outcomes, we're going to have an improved understanding of the captive to wild transitions for Palila. So far we've had a lot of difficulty with that. When we've tried to release Palila, they just haven't fared very well. Whether that be they get eaten by pueo, or they don't survive well, or they don't eat correctly.
Oh, Brett, we
or have
lost
trouble.
you.
Oh,
Your voice, at least.
I'm sorry. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
I can hear him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're back. You're back.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry about that. Hopefully hopefully it should be good. And then we're hoping this will increase the wild population of these birds. So as you saw, there's not a whole lot of Palila left. Our predator control work on the mountain has been making a difference, but hopefully with these two actions, we can really help Palila get over that barrier. And then the nice thing too is when we collect eggs from wild Palila, they will actually re-nest. So basically, if we collect eggs, they'll nest again. So we're going to get double production, hopefully, out of these pairs that are able to raise nestlings. And then this will also provide a lot of information for guiding future Palila recovery actions, such as translocations and other things to other parts of the Mauna, and then also advance our species recovery efforts for the Palila. And with that, that's pretty much everything I have for you folks today. But mostly I just wanted to be here to provide any answers for questions that you may have, or to provide any other information that you folks would be interested in when it comes to the Palila.
I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, mahalo, Brett, for your presentation. Very interesting, fascinating work that you guys are doing. But
Sure.
can you tell me what the elevations of the Palila habitat are?
Yeah, so the bottom of their habitat starts at about 8,000 or 7,500 feet, and extends all the way up to the tree line, which can be all the way up to about 10,000 feet.
So if the mamane was flourishing more in the area about the visitor center, that could be a Palila
Sure.
habitat. I mean, obviously there's lots of people there, but it's in the range
Yeah,
of what should
absolutely.
be their habitat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even in like as recently as the like late 2010s, you could still see Palila at Halepohaku. They haven't been seen there since I think the last confirmed observation of them was in 2016. But they used to be all throughout. Like they would actually even move from the south side of the mountain all the way over to the east side towards like Kanakoleo Nui. But that population has really blinked out over the last few decades. So that, yeah, like I said, they haven't been seen at HP like confirmed since I believe 2016.
Well, so has the mamane blinked out in that area. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
understandable. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
yep,
that.
of course. And I think Linda, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Hi, Brett. Couple of questions. Um, so what I know here you're doing a cat-proof fence. Why not a predator-proof fence? Because that would exclude the mice and the rats that eat on the seeds of the mamane and help the mamane flourish as well as the palila.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the reasons that we're not as concerned about rodents in this particular habitat is we actually, over the last 3 years, we've been doing an extensive amount of rodent monitoring. And, surprisingly, Mauna Kea has really low densities of rats. There's quite a few mice up there, but we haven't been detecting very many rats, at least in the area where the fence is being proposed. Down a little bit lower when you get more into the Nile forest, there's more rats because they love eating the Nile seeds for rats. Mice are primarily eating grass seeds and some of the other things that can be found up at that higher elevation. But at least so far with our camera trap monitoring and with we have what are called tracking tunnels, we've detected very few rats and mice in that area. But we also have a grid of what are called good nature traps. And so they're basically a self-resetting rat and mouse trap. And so the idea with this is cats are the main thing that are eating Palila, but rats and mice are also a threat. So, but building a full predator-proof fence can be very, very costly. And it also requires a lot more ground disturbance. So you actually have to like dig the bottom and bury
You gotta bury the skirt underneath.
Exactly. And so we're trying to avoid that. I want to have as little disturbance on Mauna Kea as possible, while still keeping these birds on the landscape. And so what we're doing is we're leaving those traps in the area and building the cat-proof fence. So it's kind of like a meet in between to try to hit both of those threats, if that makes sense.
Yep, that does. As far as they're transitioning from being in captivity to being released, are you learning any lessons from the Alala releases that have been going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So for folks that don't know, there's been about 5 alala released on Maui, and so far they've done very well. And so one of the things
I
that
thought
we've
there
actually
was a second cohort that was released as well.
There was a second cohort. Unfortunately, the original cohort beat them up, so we had to bring them back in. Yeah, they weren't very friendly to the young ones.
Yeah.
So we unfortunately did have to bring them back in, but we did have a nest last year, and so we're hoping very much that we're going to have our first chicks this spring with that pair. But what we have learned from the alala is some of the predator training. So what we're trying to do is actually train some of the palila that we have in captivity to be fearful of cats and pueo and eel. And so far, the birds respond really well to eel and pueo, but they don't react at all to cats. And so that's kind of another reason why we're really trying to get this fence put up there so that we have a safe zone for the birds where we can release them, where there won't be any cats to interact with them.
Okay, thank you.
Neil?
Yeah, no, I would just wanted to commend your work. This is really important, and I appreciate how challenging it is and how forces seem to work against you and so forth. But it's something that has to be done, and it's good to do, and you're doing it on our behalf. So we really appreciate that effort. I think I want to really elevate the importance of the work to being mission critical. When we watch Atipua again and again and again talking about kanawai ki hoi hoi, it's not just humans that need to regenerate, it's all things. So we're tracking tracking those palila, because they're important indicators of our collective success. And so thank you for doing that, and it's something we should be doing. It's mission critical to us. The final item to Chair Kameji and John DeFries, really think these informational sessions are on things that come forth from our key stakeholders are really important. I know we have very busy agendas and we're trying to respect people's time, but carving out a little notch to talk about a cultural issue, talk about an astronomy issue, talk about a tourism issue, whatever it is, I think really helps to not only elevate the understanding of authority members, but the public who are tuning into these meetings as well. So thank you for having this on the agenda.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Lamekila.
I just figured out how to finally raise my hand. I just got to put it up and it does.
You got the right color too.
Right? Mahalo, Brett, for that share. I just really wanted to highlight a couple of perspectives from years back on the Mauna. When we talked about protecting the Mauna, when we say Mauna, that is the Manu, that is the Nahele, it is the forest. It's not just the geological landscape itself, the stone and such. It is all of this that makes the Mauna. And it just, as you're sharing, I was looking up on my own Google map and looking, and you can see the density of the Mamane forest from over there at Pu'umana'o, and it dies out right when it gets to Halepohaku. So I found that very interesting that you can see this very dense green line until you get to Halepohaku, which is quite interesting as that's a landscape that is supposed to be held as is also conservation zone, and it's been held under this space of education to promote these types of things. And so in my mind already, I'm thinking, how do we get this aina healthy again? What is happening in this space? Because if I know something, as you mentioned, the migration of the palila used to go around, and we speak about the le papahi mamane o poliahu, that the palila movement was right with that mamane line. And we are actually the dying off point right there where this Halepohaku is. But there's a lot of infrastructure there that could be helping to support initiatives, more initiatives, just like what you are doing there. And not to mention too, I just want to highlight, this is the science that is necessary and needed for the overall health and well-being and the future of care of our mountain. And so I'm really excited to see more effort here on the work that you're doing, and would highlight to us all and ask to how can we continue to partner and assist that, even as we have, as I look at Halepohaku could serve as a kipuka space where we are able to support all of these endeavors that are happening at this high elevation. There's a nice few big flat parcels right there that could easily be turned into aviaries and more additional greenhouses to restore that mamane. So I guess just my question for us to think about, and for yourself too, is what are more ways that we within that be able to use Halepohaku and in our future to assist in returning the ola and preservation of the palila and all that comes with their restoration there. Mahalo.
Kalehua.
Yeah, really quickly, and I know mahalo for that, for sharing your presentation. The word that I think is important for me in this moment to share is human-centric. That it's gonna show up as we move forward in our discussions. You know, I wish the mayor was here to hear the presentation, but also understand that the philosophies that are at play that are important not just to us as human beings, but I really want us to take it seriously, because the idea of human-centric decision making and philosophies have gotten us to this point, and the continuance of them will not only disturb birds, but they're disturbing everything in that homeostatic necessity that we need as not just people, but aina. So I want to make sure that we put a pin on that one and make sure that the concept of human-centric is spoken in this way, because it'll come up in the future to be truthful and transparent, like the mayor is asking.
Can I just throw in also the thought there too, that also within the lands that we are stewarding now, they are conservation. So that is the actual functions and practices that are supposed to be promoted within the landscape by law, is laws of conservation, and such projects similar to what we're seeing presented here for the care of the conservation, restoration of aina, is the types of projects that we should be considering and promoting within the landscape that we are stewarding now.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah, John, got a quick. I was listening to a presentation by Pat Hart last week where he was talking about mosquitoes, and are these birds at all affected by this sort of encroachment from the mosquitoes at the lower elevations?
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a fantastic question. So fortunately, to date, we have never detected avian malaria at the elevations where palila are found. So at least for now, they're safe. However, this species is just as susceptible as the other birds to malaria. So if it were ever to reach that elevation, these birds would definitely be in big trouble. But yeah, as of right now, malaria is still at about the 5,000 foot level. So we still have some flexibility and hopefully quite a bit more time when it comes to palila. But yeah, that's a great concern.
Mahalo.
If I can build on that and tie this to the other agenda item that we had of the weather monitoring equipment we're putting on top of the facilities, that's where we need to start talking to each other. That weather data is not just important to the astronomy, the telescope, but also to kind of feed a body of information and data to help us understand that climate change and the increasing temperature rise and so forth, that's going to create the vector for mosquitoes to come up and for avian malaria to be an issue. So this is where I think it's the beauty of our model of why you create an authority, so that you can get people who are collecting information to kind of share that information kind of across their sectors, and it can be useful to all. So we should be tying into the weather data that the astronomy, the observatories are collecting.
Yeah, Neil, I'll add a good example of that is in the management plan that's being developed, the climate modeling that's being done. They've already connected with the folks that run the Mauna Kea Weather Center to ensure that the data is available for their use as they're moving forward and trying to look at that part of what's coming in the management plan. So, and Brett, offline, I'd like to connect with you. I want to understand more. Greg and I looked at each other when you mentioned the climate conditions. Like, whoa, I'd like to talk with you more about that, because you know, over the years, we've learned that silver sword, for instance, the Hinahina, doesn't like it around Haleʻipohaka. We planted a lot out there. They just don't do well in that pocket around the mountain. Other places, there's thousands of them, but right around Haleʻipohaka, they just don't, that microclimate there doesn't seem to work. So I'm curious how you've come to this conclusion, or where you've gotten the information that indicates that that chunk of the mountain on that southwest side is climatically good for mamane. That might feed into this bigger conversation about the mamane lay around the mountain. But we'll do that some other time. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all for your time, and please reach out anytime if you have any questions or concerns. We're happy to continue working with this group and just doing what we can to continue to malama the mauna.
Thank you, Brett. Great contribution and a timely one as well. So thank you for being here.
Mahalo.
We're going to move on to item number 11, our financial report. This will be the last report you will hear from Lloyd. Lloyd's final day of work is tomorrow, and he has kindly agreed to stay on to help us with the onboarding and initial training for incoming ASO Keala, who you met earlier. So I'll save my congratulatory message till after his report. But Lloyd, the financial report, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. As usual, my reports are short. This one is for the first 8 months of this fiscal period. In the month of February, we spent a little over $52,000 in administrative expenses. And for the first 8 months, we spent a little over $445,000 for administrative expenses. Taking our budget that we were appropriated at $14 million, of which $11.4 million is used for other expenses. Again, we did encumber $2.6 million to our COH, and what we spent so far in operations of $445,000. We have for the next 4 months $8.3 million that is available for your programs. Our SSFM contract that is within our COH, this is as of February 28th. We still have a balance of $1.2 million. We did make an amendment 1 to add another $132,000 for the public relations expenses that may be occurring in the next 6 to 8 months. So all of those contracts are still well funded. In terms of the one point is the attorney's fees that Ben Kudo is working with the attorneys. We still have a sizable amount that they still can be using for the transition process. So are there any questions? Okay, if not, I'd like to say something, if I could at this time. I'd like to thank John K. and John D. For this opportunity for me to learn and experience the significance of Mauna Kea. I never knew. I saw Mauna Kea as a very nice mountain, but not in terms of the cultural and scientific importance to Hawaii and maybe the world. I'd like to thank you authority members to share your thoughts and knowledge of Mauna Kea with me. I really appreciate that a lot. Thanking Greg Chun and his team of working with me with a very positive attitude, that I worked with them. And not the least, mahalo to the MKSOA staff, all 4 of us. I'd like to implement 4 of us as we worked and supported each other with a lot of courage. And not leaving out our consultants, Paid Lunch, SSFM, our CUH project staff for their positive efforts while I was working with them. A short note to you, authority. you have accepted a tremendous responsibility to Hawaii, which I gathered the past year and a half with you, which includes Mauna Kea. In my mind, it's almost like an unfair responsibility to accomplish what you need to do in 5 years. I look forward to seeing your accomplishments as you work and working with everyone, which includes the various consultants, and with all the success that I will have in my mind for you folks. Mahalo.
Lloyd, thank you. And for me personally, and in this capacity, I do want to thank you. I mean, you basically stepped out of retirement to help us get started down this track. Accomplished quite a bit during your time here. It's paved kind of a path for us to move forward. I appreciate your generosity in helping us to onboard and get Keala started as well. But your contributions, your experience, your background came at the right time for us. And so you should always consider yourself a member of this extended family, and look forward to seeing you as a citizen. You're not wearing your Opihi Couch shirt today.
No.
Lloyd has a new shirt called Couch Opihi, which he's been wearing the last week to work. So again, Lloyd, thank you. And anybody else that, John Kumeji, you have any parting thoughts for Lloyd?
Yeah. Thank you, Lloyd, for all that you did. Most of you don't know that Lloyd started working on this project even before he was hired. He and I would meet 7:30 on the days that he would go walking, and I got a lot of insight from him about how we deal with state government and try to get through some of the state processes and procedures. So Lloyd, thank you and then I would harass him at the football game about not doing stuff. He sits like 3 rows in front of me, so I'd have to yell at him, "Hey, work on this." And then we take our walk around halftime. We would both talk about what we got to do. So Lloyd, thank you very much. Very integral part of how we got to where we are today. We know that you'll continue every second Thursday to tune in to this, whether you employed or not by us. But we thank you for all your efforts, and as John said, you will and continue to be part of this ohana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Super. All right. Mr. Chairman, that brings us to the end of the agenda with announcements. You know, before we go directly to announcements, Chair, I wanted to, 2 days ago, Bill Stormont and I attended the Mauna Kea Scholars Program at Waiakea High School. And I just want to give an acknowledgement to Doug Simons and Mary Beth Lachak. The quality of that program exceeded anything I could have imagined. And it was measured by the enthusiasm and excitement I saw in roughly 35 to 38 students that were present. And, you know, they had an opportunity to put proposals together for astronomical research. The awardees would receive time, viewing time on a telescope. And the way they supported one another, the ones who were awarded viewing time because of their project, the ones who were not awarded, for the most part, they were not selected because their ideas were too big and their proposals would require more time than they're even going to be at Waiakea High School, much less the limited viewing time that the program is afforded. So, but as the awardees were also encouraged to invite the ones that were not awarded time to join their research team. And I was just moved by the level of interaction between the students, their support for one another, their aloha for one another, and really their gratitude. And, you know, they received these wooden framed certificates with it, and it's very well done, high quality. And I later learned that Doug Simons personally, as a woodworker, made those frames to enhance the award itself. So again, Doug, Mary Beth, MKO, everyone that supports the Mauna Kea Scholars Program, and most of all the students and faculty at Waiakea High School that hosted us that day. Looking forward to the Kealakehe ceremony in late May. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Komeiji.
Thank you, John, and thank you. Echo your thanks to everyone involved in the Mauna Kea Scholars Program. So in terms of announcements, first thing, there was a question about the governor's message. If you look in the chat, thanks to Linda Chow, she put in the numbers for the governor's message if you want the numbers for the governor's message. Second, the next meeting is on April 9th, same time, same place. Third, if you guys are not in Honolulu, man, it's really dumping, man. The rain is like, I can hear, I'm on the 16th floor, I can hear the rain like really dumping out there. So those of you on the Big Island, a cloud is coming down to your place next. And this is not even the heavy rain. The heavy rain is supposed to be tonight. So, so thank you, everyone. Again, thanks, Lloyd, to you, Kiala. We look forward to working with you. Daniel, we look forward to, now that you got the whole scope of what we're doing, looking for your input and your guidance and your manao. So with that, get a motion to adjourn. A second. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.